Hi, my name is Sarah.
Hi, I'm Shelby Smith.
I'll be your dietitian today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, what are you up to today?
I'm just here at the doctor's office.
Yeah, visiting the dietitian. Did they refer you on?
Yeah, they did refer me on.
Okay, so what have you been doing today? How's your day been?
Tiring.
Tiring? Had anything crazy going on?
Finals are coming up.
Yeah, so you're a student?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you studying?
Communication sciences and disorders.
That's awesome. What do you want to do with that?
I want to be a speech therapist.
Okay, that's really cool. Do you have a target population you want to work with?
Children and then older people.
Older adults?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That would be a really great profession for you. So today we're just going to go through a little bit. We're going to talk about what brought you in here, do a 24-hour recall so that we can assess what you've been eating, and then we'll do some education and set some goals so hopefully we can improve your nutritional status. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, would you tell me what brought you in here?
I was just recently diagnosed with celiac disease.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to establish a diet. They referred me on to you all.
All right, and how do you feel about being diagnosed with celiac disease?
It's going to be a big change, I know, in my life because, everything contains gluten, and so I know it's going to be a major change, and I'm the only one in my family that's diagnosed with it, so it's really going to be a different outlook on everything.
Yeah, a big challenge, definitely. So hopefully we can give you some tips and tricks to help make this transition a little bit easier. So what we're going to start with is a 24-hour recall. So how that's going to work is I'm going to go through and we're going to start with yesterday, everything you ate from the time you woke up in the morning until the time you went to bed. I want you to give me as much detail as possible, down to the serving size, about what time you ate and things like that, just as good as you can, and then we'll go forward from that. And if yesterday wasn't a typical diet day for you, you can do something that's a little more average. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Do you mind if I take some notes while we do this?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so when was the first time you ate?
I have no idea. Probably around like 10-ish.
Okay, so 10 in the morning. And what did you eat?
I had half of a bagel with Nutella. My friend Claire gave it to me. She didn't finish it, so I ate the other half.
That sounds really good. And what kind of bagel did you have?
A cinnamon sugar bagel.
Okay. And did you have anything else with that?
Water, but that's it.
That's good. It's always good to drink your water throughout the day. And when was the next time that you ate?
Probably closer to 1, and I had Panda Express.
Okay, and what did you have from Panda Express?
Half chow mein, half rice, and then orange chicken. And I only ate about like half of the bowl.
And what kind of rice was that?
Fried.
Okay. And when was the next time you ate after that?
I had steak and shake at
Okay.
8-ish o'clock, 8:30.
And what did you get from Steak and Shake?
I had 2 chicken tenders, half a serving of fries, a Sprite, and a chocolate chip cookie dough milkshake.
That sounds like a good meal. How big would you say that Sprite was if you had to give sizes?
I don't know.
Was it just their standard size?
Yeah, just a standard regular.
And what about the milkshake? I know sometimes
regular.
they have different sizes at Steak and Shake. Okay, thank you for that. And when did you eat again after that?
I didn't eat the rest of the day.
Okay. So I'm going to have you just look over this with me and tell me if this looks right, if you see anything that looks a little off to you. So in the morning at 10 a.m., you had half a bagel with Nutella. It was a cinnamon sugar bagel, and some water with that. Then you had Panda Express at 1 p.m. with half chow mein, half fried rice, and orange chicken, and then you had half the bowl that they gave you. At 8:30 p.m., you ate Steak and Shake, had 2 chicken tenders, half the serving of fries, a standard size Sprite, and then just a regular chocolate chip cookie dough milkshake?
Yes, that's all correct.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of use your 24-hour recall that you provided with me, and we're just going to go through and talk about the food items that you think might have gluten in them, and then we'll be able to see so that we can learn what we need to eat and what we can't maybe eat with celiac disease.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and put stars by them. If you want to do that, just go through what you think maybe has gluten in it. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like you starred the bagel, the chow mein rice and chicken, the chicken tenders, the fries, and the milkshake. So I think I would agree with most of those. The only one that might be a little different is the fries. And the thing with the fries is potatoes naturally don't have gluten in them. So most fries will be okay for you to eat if you were preparing them at home. But fries that you get from places are put in a fryer that maybe something like the chicken tenders was put in. And so it would cross-contaminate over with that gluten. So we'll come back to that. But first, I just want to provide you with a little more information on celiac disease. So I've brought this handout for you to have as a reference. And we're just going to talk through it. So you might be wondering, what is celiac disease? I don't know, did the doctor talk to you a lot about what celiac disease is?
To an extent, but not very much.
Okay, so celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder. So your body isn't able to break down the gluten that you're eating. It's a little bit different than an allergy where your body can't tolerate it and has a severe reaction. You still will experience some symptoms with celiac disease that are similar to an allergic reaction to foods, but it is a little bit different. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and so would you like to share with me any of the symptoms that you think you've been having from celiac disease?
So severe stomach pain, and then some irregular bowel movements.
Yeah.
And then nausea.
Okay, so those are pretty common, and hopefully by altering your diet and removing the gluten, we can help eliminate some of those symptoms for you. So unfortunately, there is no treatment for celiac disease. You can't take a pill or anything to get rid of it. You have to completely eliminate gluten, which can be, like you mentioned earlier in the session, a little bit challenging to do, and there's a lot of barriers to overcome, but we'll talk through those some. So you'll notice on your handout there's a little box that talks about foods that you should avoid, and that's going to be any food containing gluten, and gluten is naturally found in wheat, barley, and rye. And then oats are naturally gluten-free, but they're generally processed in facilities and in a means that adds gluten to them. So I'm not sure if you like to eat oatmeal or anything that contains oats, but you'll want to be cautious when you're purchasing oats to make sure that the label says that they're gluten-free. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions about those products?
No.
So then over on the other side, I have some different foods that you can still enjoy, because this isn't really about taking away all the foods you love, but just about finding new foods that you love and can still eat. And so naturally gluten-free foods are your fruits and vegetables, dairy, meats, beans. And so if we go back to your 24-hour recall, you marked that you thought that the fried rice would have gluten in it, and rice is actually naturally gluten-free as well. So it's kind of one of those things like with the oats, you want to check the package and label and make sure that if you're purchasing the rice, that it is a gluten-free product, not processed with gluten. If you're going out somewhere like Panda Express and purchasing the fried rice, might be a little more, you might want to be a little more on the safe side and avoid something like that because of cross-contamination with the scoops and things of that sort. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, do you understand all of these, the foods that you should avoid and some different foods that you can still enjoy?
Yes.
So things like rice, soy, and corn are still really great food products for you. So then down here we just have some tips and tricks. So you're going to want to make sure that if you're purchasing foods in the store, that you're reading the food labels. That's really important just for you to be able to check and see if a product has gluten. Are you familiar with how to read food labels?
No idea.
Okay, so this is a food label, and so you'll see on the back that it'll have all the different products, and then up top it'll have a serving size and some calories, and then it'll have all these different products listed throughout. And these are very important when you're looking at the nutritional aspects of food items, but right now we're just going to focus on how to notice whether or not it tells you if it contains gluten. So down at the bottom on a food label, it'll have in big bold, contains, and it'll have all the different allergies, if it has milk in it or peanuts or it's processed in a facility that processes that, you'll find that on there. But then also down at the bottom, it will say contains gluten or may contain gluten. And so you want to just check for that. Again, it'll be in big bold under that nutrition label thing right underneath on those packages. And so you'll want to get in the habit of just checking the back of food labels to see if a product has gluten on it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's our first little tip and trick. The second one is going to be don't be afraid to talk to your waiter. So if you go out to eat, let's take Steak and Shake. If you go back to Steak and Shake, you're probably going to be wondering, well, what can I eat and what is going to be processed without gluten? Yes, something along those sorts. So don't be afraid to talk to your waiter to ask how things are produced. That's the best way to get information instead of just taking guesses. So that'll be a great tip for when you're going out. But also, a lot of places now have their menus online. And because celiac disease is becoming more prevalent, a lot of places have indicated menu items that say that they are gluten-free. So that's something that you can keep an eye out for. So just ask questions. Don't be afraid. It might seem a little bit intimidating at first, and I definitely do acknowledge that. But just making sure and being conscientious of what you're eating, if that means calling a restaurant before you go or asking your waiter when you're there or looking online, just want to make sure that you check those products. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So then the next thing we're going to want to do is inform our family and friends. So you're a little bit, on the older side now that you're moving into adulthood. And so this is a new thing for you all. It's something that a lot of your family and friends maybe haven't seen and haven't been exposed to. You might go to dinner parties where they're not going to understand right away why you aren't able to eat food products that you've been eating your whole life. And so you're just going to want to talk to your family and friends and inform them about celiac disease. Maybe you could show them this handout and provide them with a little bit more information on what it is. And that will allow you to just say, hey, I just want you to know that this is what I have going on. Here's some foods that I really can't eat because they do cause me to be really sick. Does that sound something you could do?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any concerns with any of those so far?
No.
Okay, so then the next thing we're going to talk about is just trying new recipes. So something that's really important that you'll learn is baked goods might be a little bit different. Cooking food products at home might be a little bit different. When you're going to make muffins, you can't necessarily use that flour like you've been used to using when you're baking. And so you're going to want to try and find some new recipes. So down here is the Celiac Disease Foundation. And if you go to their website, they do have a lot of links and recipes to gluten-free foods and things and ways to make those. So that might be a good resource for you. Does that sound good and make sense?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. So do you have any questions for me about anything that we have just talked about?
Not that any can come to mind as of right now.
Okay, so feel free as we're going through this next portion of our session, if you do have any, to just ask. We want to make sure that this is very helpful to you moving forward. And so the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set some goals for you moving forward.
Okay.
So we've got this new diagnosis of celiac disease. You listed a couple barriers in the beginning. So let's go back to some of your concerns with being diagnosed with celiac disease.
I think a major concern is finding foods. I do enjoy going out with friends and my boyfriend, and so I think it'll be a struggle to find foods to be able to eat when out.
Okay, that is definitely something that we can talk about as we're setting goals. And is there anything else that you're really concerned about?
I guess making sure that my family really understands how serious it is, and that my mom likes to like just throw things underneath the bus, and you know, she doesn't, she has so many kids that she can't really cook just for one individual, so.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we've got two good things that we can set goals for and work and move forward to. So let's talk about the first thing that you mentioned, which is finding foods while going out with your friends and with your boyfriend, because we definitely don't want to take away from something that you enjoy. So what do you think that one good way for you to find foods might be while you're going out with your friends?
Eat salads.
So that could be an option, yes. So what you do want to be cautious with, which I have mentioned quite frequently throughout, is that cross-contamination. And so salads, those vegetables like we talked about, are naturally gluten-free. So those are always good options, but being careful with your dressings and making sure that the dressings you pick don't have gluten added in them. But that could be a good option. Is there any other ideas that you have?
I guess checking the menu before you go and like ensuring that they are a gluten-safe, I guess, environment type deal.
Okay, that's a really good one. And so when you're doing that, you can always check online, and if the information is not provided, like I mentioned earlier, you can call into the restaurant, because nowadays they are pretty informed about things like that. So let's try and set a goal for this. On average, how often would you say that you eat out a week?
I would say about 2 times a week.
Okay, so if we want to set a goal for both times that we're eating out a week, what do you think a goal like that would look like?
I have no idea.
That's okay. That's why we're here, to kind of set and work towards that. So maybe our goal has something to do with being informed about whether or not the place we're going to offers a lot of gluten-free products. Does that sound like something you might be interested in?
Yeah.
So what do you think? We talked about doing that by checking the menu before you go. So we could set our goal as 2 times a week, because that's how frequently you're eating out. You would like to check the menu before you go. Is that the goal you would like to achieve? Is there anything else you want to add to that goal? Maybe something that touches on what if you check the menu and it doesn't have information about their gluten products?
I guess calling in ahead and making sure that there is something that I can eat there.
And if you run into the roadblock that there is not, how would you like to move forward with that?
I'm making sure that the people that I'm going out with understand that we can't go to that restaurant.
Do you feel confident in your ability to have those conversations with your family and friends? That is very good. So our first goal is that 2 times a week, before we go out to eat, you will check the menu before you go, and if information is not provided on gluten content, then you will call ahead. And if they do not offer products that are good to you, you said that you feel like you have a high confidence to talk with your friends or family that you're going to eat with about finding a new place. I think that sounds like a great goal. Do you feel like that's achievable?
Yes.
And so then our second goal that we're going to set will be in regards to checking the menu before you go. I apologize. It will be in regards to cooking at home. Do you cook at home at all?
Once a week. I've been doing this, cook every Thursday. So I cook once a week, and then my mom and her boyfriend cook every other days of the week.
Okay, so you said that earlier your mom cooks, and it might be challenging for her to accommodate her meal to the whole family.
Yes.
So maybe this goal focuses on that one day a week that you're cooking. Do you think that you would be able to cook a meal that would satisfy not having gluten in it?
Yes, after finding a meal that I think I would enjoy, I feel like I'd be able to find one.
So definitely using this resource that's down at the bottom of your sheet, we could set our goal to be preparing a gluten-free meal 1 time a week.
Yes.
Do both of these goals seem achievable to you?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and do you have any questions about any of them?
I do not.
Okay, I think they seem like great goals. I'm very excited for you to work towards achieving them. We'll set up a follow-up appointment where we can come in and talk about how this has worked for you and any other progress. Before I let you go, do you have any other questions for me about anything that we talked about?
I do not.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great to meet you.
You
Have
too.
a great day.
You as well.